Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about meal prep and my take on meal prep, which might be a little bit different. I'm going to take you through a few different recipes that I'm going to cook and how I prepare ingredients in advance. I have my meal plan written out behind me, so I'll show you that. I have my recipe binders ready to go, and I think we're gonna get started probably with some breakfast that's not even on my meal plan, but I'm gonna show you what I do to prep things and make some more breakfasts in advance for the rest of the week. Here I have my meal plan board with all of my lunch and dinner recipes, as well as some sweet treats all written out from my meal planning binder, just some different things that I picked out that I want to cook this week. And that's exactly what I wanted to share with you. I didn't pick these recipes in particular because they are ones that lend themselves to meal prep. There are plenty of other recipes that are probably a lot easier to meal prep, but I wanted this to be realistic, what I do with the plan that I have and how I prep as many of the ingredients or full meals if possible in advance. So you'll see we're starting with breakfast here. And I like to make some breakfast that I can eat throughout the week, over the weekend. Sometimes over the weekend, I'll make two different things if I think that the ingredients will last in the refrigerator that long. If not, I will make probably one over the weekend and then make a second one halfway through the week to get me through the rest of the week of breakfast. Pancakes are a really great option because I can do two different things with them. Actually, three. First, I can eat some of them over the weekend when I'm meal prepping and enjoy a little bit of brunch. Second, I can keep some in the refrigerator for those first few days of the week. And then third, I can freeze anything and thaw them out for weeks and weeks in the future if I don't have time to meal prep breakfast. So this is a new recipe that I'm trying. It is a oat pancake recipe. It was actually meant to be topped with berries. And I'm trying to remember what magazine it was from, but I will include all of the ingredients that I used. You'll see it was super simple. It was a blender recipe. I threw it all in there and then put it on the skillet, and that was it. There are so many other breakfasts that you can make in advance. You could make smoothies and make little packs of smoothies just so you can dump them in the blender when you're ready. There's one smoothie in particular that I really like that you can put in the blender cup and soak overnight. It's almost like overnight oats blended up in a smoothie. And that brings me to my other favorite meal prep for breakfast. Overnight oats. A lot of times over the weekends, I'll make a big batch of overnight oats and just eat those throughout the week. If I especially don't care to mix it up that much, I really don't mind having the same breakfast every day. You could do things like hard-boiled eggs. There's a lot of freezer prep breakfasts that you could make, like freezer egg cups, egg bites, if you've ever seen those before, breakfast burritos, breakfast sandwiches. If for some reason you're interested in like specific breakfast or lunch or dessert or snack meal prep ideas, I can do another video like this or like a really in-depth one for each different genre or different type of food. But today I just really wanted to show you all of the different strategies that I have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know I didn't mention this, but I wanted to sneak in a snack / dessert treat. I love prepping things that are multifunctional and multi-purpose. Actually, this could even be a breakfast, it could be a snack, or it could be a dessert. And these are some healthy-ish oatmeal banana muffin cups. I put chocolate chips in them. You could skip chocolate chips and make it more of a breakfast. You could toss in blueberries or something if you wanted it to be more of a breakfast or a snack that's less of a dessert. But with the chocolate chips, you could sneak it in for a breakfast easily as an afternoon pick-me-up. I like kind of having treats in the afternoon in between that lunch and dinner time, especially when I'm getting really tired at my desk. Or at night after dinner, I want a sweet treat, but I don't want something that's too unhealthy, especially if it's just like the middle of the week and I'm having things like this often. Just a little bit of chocolate in these filling and nutritious oatmeal muffins is perfect. And these are great for meal prepping because you can prep the entire thing in advance. You don't just have to prep small ingredients, you just cook the whole thing. And again, like I said with those pancakes, keep them out on the countertop, put them in the fridge to make them last longer, or even longer, you can put them in the freezer. Another great thing that I like to do as a combo snack or dessert are energy balls or energy bites. Tons of different recipes online. These are easy. They make a great after workout snack. And I have a few that I've shared in the past before, but there's a combo that's similar to this with oatmeal and chocolate chips and peanut butter that's really good. There's one that I make with dates and lemons and nuts in there. There's like some cashews and almonds, but there are a lot of different creative recipes. So just give it a Google and find some energy balls that sound appealing to you. So I have my meal plan here, and what I'm gonna do is go through my recipe binder and look at all of these different meals that I have. I don't differentiate between things that are lunch versus dinner, and that's part of my meal planning strategy, is that a lot of what I cook for dinner ends up being lunch for the next day. So I'm gonna see with each of these recipes what I can prepare in advance. Sometimes a recipe, there might be nothing, that's possible, but other times it could be just chopping up vegetables. Sometimes I could cook something or a portion of it in advance, or make a sauce. If it's a salad, I'll try and make the dressing in advance. I think one of them, let's see, chicken, corn chowder stuffed zucchini. I might make that chicken in advance. But I'm just gonna go through and also figure out the order of when I want to make these meals based on my fresh produce. So I don't assign a day of the week for any of these meals just because I don't know how long it's gonna take us with the amount of leftovers we end up having. And I also like to make a meal plan based on when things are going to expire. So I don't know when I'm gonna go to the grocery store if I buy a bag of spinach, if that's gonna expire before the broccoli that I buy or whatever it might be. So I just make the game plan as I go throughout the week and check in on things. So I don't wanna prep too many meals in advance because let's say I make this chicken and get that prepped, but I make like 5 other meals before I get to the chicken, then that chicken is no longer gonna be good because it only stays good in the fridge for so many days before you need to eat it up. So I'm going to grab my recipe binder and get to making a little bit of a plan. So for these lunch/dinner recipes, I wanted to go through my meal planning binder and look over the recipes and see what I can prep in advance, because some recipes I can prep almost, if not the entire meal in advance. And then other ones, I really can't do much, if anything, in advance at all. A lot of times, things that I look for that I can do in advance are chopping vegetables, making sauces or marinades in advance. Can I cut up chicken if it's going to be diced chicken? Really anything possible I'm trying to do in advance if I can. One of the recipes I had on the meal plan was shakshuka, which I think it's both an African and Middle Eastern dish. I have discovered it when I was in Israel. It's very, very popular in Israel, but it's a tomato-based dish with eggs that are cooked in the tomato sauce. And oftentimes there's like a bread served on the side. So I was going to make crusty bread to dip into the shakshuka. So I was doing a double batch of this crusty bread that I like to make. The nice thing about it is that the instructions are so you can bake it either immediately or let it sit in the fridge to develop flavor and bake it in 3 days. So I am going to let that one sit for 3 days, develop flavor, and bake it then. Now this next dish is an eggplant pasta. It kind of reminds me of the TikTok pasta. You know, that one with feta and tomatoes that was very, very popular on the internet, but it's eggplant and feta. It was delicious, but any pasta casserole dish like this, you can prep the entire thing in advance. It was one of those ones where you put kind of like breadcrumbs on top and then you finish it off in the oven. So I did all of the steps first and then left the casserole to sit in the refrigerator for whenever I was ready to bake it. And if you don't want to go that far or you feel weird about the whole like pasta dish sitting in there the entire time, you don't have to. But if you do feel weird about it, you could stop it really any stage of this process. The first stage, I'm roasting here the eggplant and getting that charred in the oven. Then I need to cook the pasta and then start to combine it and then make those layers. So if you wanted to just roast the eggplant in advance, you could do that, but I thought it was easier to make the whole dish. And I could have had this as the first dish and just made this for our first meal of the week and had leftovers for Monday. But I like the fact that I can have this one sit and then I can make something more complicated or something that's harder to prep and have that over the weekend, if that makes sense, and have the things that I can prep in advance for the week when I am a little bit busier and don't have as much time to meal prep. Especially because I didn't have any meat in this pasta dish. It lasts even longer in the refrigerator. When you have something like chicken maybe sitting in there, you want to be a little bit more conscious about how long it's sitting in the fridge before you cook it. So I mentioned that I had that corn chowder stuffed zucchini boats. I am stuffing that with a little bit of chicken, so I used my Instant Pot to make some shredded chicken in advance. This is something, even if you don't have specific meals that you're planning, always great to have some shredded chicken in the refrigerator. If I had more meals that required shredded chicken, I would probably pull out my stand mixer and just mix that around, and that shreds the chicken for you without having to use 2 forks and go through everything I'm going through. But with just 2 chicken breasts, it wasn't really worth it for me to use the stand mixer. Okay, next up was the meal that I was going to make tonight to have. So I was pretty much going to prep this entire meal, and then we were going to have leftovers tomorrow night and bring us into the beginning of the week. And this was a green curry chili, a new recipe for me. Actually, I don't know why I said. And this was a green curry dish that's a new recipe for me. It is shrimp based. We liked it. I would recommend upping the spice or adding in more vegetables. It kind of tasted pretty plain. It was not bad. It was really good, but it was just plain. So I would up it with some other stir-fry type veggies that you might traditionally see in other curry dishes, whatever you might like. Okay, but since this video is about meal prepping, and I know this meal I'm pretty much completely cooking, if you were going to cook this one later, it has a pickled red onion that goes on top of it. So I'm slicing that red onion up, and then I'm going to put it into a dish with some lime juice. If I wasn't making the dish immediately today, that was something I could easily do in advance. I also want to mention there are some shortcuts when it comes to meal prepping. For example, what I do with my rice. If I was wanting to be a go-getter and do everything by scratch, this would be a great time to cook up some rice in advance. But everyone's human, so take a look at what I am going to do to cut some corners here. I'm using 90-second rice to accompany that curry. Jim and I both have a total sweet tooth. We like having treats around the house. I don't buy a lot of desserts, or we don't have pre-made desserts on hand. Like, we never have Oreos or ice cream or cookies around the house. But since I bake so often, we end up with baked goods around the house. And this recipe was actually quite good for a dessert meal prep. I was doing key lime pie mousse. And the nice thing about it is you can put it into individual containers, so it kind of gives you some portion control, but it also has it just ready for you to grab after dinner as a nice treat. This probably would last in the refrigerator all week, but again, you can stop this recipe at numerous different stages. I was roasting some of those oats in the oven. You could just do that in advance. You could just make the mousse in advance. Anywhere you want to stop whenever you're going through your different recipes is better than nothing. I'm telling you, when you go to start a new recipe in the middle of the week, it is crazy busy, you've had a long day, and you open up that recipe and you have to start chopping vegetables and cutting up garlic and whatever it might be. If you've chopped those vegetables in advance, if you've maybe cut some corners like I did before with the rice and have some pre-chopped garlic, It's not as good in my opinion, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to make those home cooked meals and have dinner on the table while keeping your sanity. So you'll see I made the mousse, and once the mousse was completed, I got out a few different dishes to make these layers of kind of a parfait situation going on here. So I did the granola graham cracker topping with mousse, and then more of the granola graham cracker topping with a little bit more mousse on top, and then closed these puppies up. Wish I could tell you they made it through the entire week, but I think somebody, Jim, was very into these desserts and maybe ate a couple of them in one day. And I want to show you what the fridge looks like at the end with all of the things that I have prepped: desserts, snacks, and parts of meals or complete meals. So at the bottom, I have some of my curry and the pickled onions. I have that bread, the pasta dish, the desserts, the shredded chicken, and my pancakes. And then I also have those muffins sitting on the countertop. Thanks so much for joining me for today's meal prep video. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I will see you guys later.